Are you ready?
Agility from the champion.
Oh, deep six!
That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
Hello, everybody. This is Wayne here. I am joined tonight by Brandon, a.k.a. Bash, bringing you another episode of the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast, episode 168. Brandon, how you doing today?
Good, we're good. Definitely a bit tired after saying before, but yeah, ended up seeing, let's see how many, while the bikes go past, how many bands there were this weekend. So I got a chance to see, I was in Rhode Island first, but Sublime, Iration was there, Slightly Stupid, the original Wailers that played with Bob Marley, the Roots, who Jimmy Fallon's band, and
No
Revolution.
kidding.
One of my favorite. Yeah, it was the Roots. I never really listened to them much prior.
They go back 30 years, man.
That's I was about to say. They had like alluded to that they'd been doing this for some time now, and I was just mesmerized. I was jumping, bouncing around. Like they definitely made a fan out of me. And yeah, we ended up taking the ferry back. Driving there wasn't terrible. The ferry back was really nice. Great idea. It saved me like 2 hours of driving.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Maybe more.
There are times that I've driven all the way to Massachusetts and did the whole driving around, and it was quicker than a ferry.
Yeah, no, well, it was like the amount of driving for me because it was like probably around 4 hours driving. But where we were, it was an hour down, then take like the hour and a half long ferry, and then an hour down. So the time was the same, but like my
Less
brain and driving, yeah, like that. The $100 for the ferry definitely saved my brain and body. Like 2 1-hour drives is way easier than 4 hours straight, and in traffic too. I was going to be sitting in New York traffic at 6 p.m. if I decided to drive down. So
not to mention both ways. That's just one way.
Right. Getting up there wasn't bad. I didn't really hit too much traffic. We left pretty early in the morning and only caught some stuff by by the Bronx. As soon as we got out of there, it was smooth. But yeah, coming back, I knew I was going to look at some terrible traffic at 6 p.m. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the 7 o'clock ferry instead.
Yeah, especially on a Friday. I don't know when you left, but I will never make the mistake again of leaving for New England on a Friday afternoon during rush hour.
Oh my God, you probably went 10 miles an hour.
Let's just say it took me 7 hours to get to what part of Massachusetts was it? It took me like 6.5 hours to get in the Worcester, Mass area. And that's not even getting up to Boston. Boston's even further out. Boston is supposed to take on a normal drive about 4 hours. So if I was driving straight to Boston, that one instance, it would have been like an extra hour on top of that.
Oh gosh,
which is absolutely nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I love leaving at 5 a.m. just going. You don't really hit anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. But New England's great. I'm glad you had a good time. My weekend was filled with golfing. I did 18 holes on Saturday and then Sunday, and then dog sitting. So I did that. So my weekend was pretty packed, but with all good things, of course. This weekend coming up is a nice free weekend for myself with nothing to do. Just gonna chill, maybe go golfing. We'll see. But so I'm looking forward to that because every weekend for the past number of weeks now has been busy with something. So finally have a weekend of myself, and we're gonna keep it like that. Catch up on all things wrestling too while we're at it. But speaking of which, we had a pretty good week of wrestling, and Monday Night Raw was a very, very good show last night. The week before, not so much. However, it did set the tone for this week's Monday Night Raw that we just had, and we're gonna break it down a little bit. But so overall, what did you think of last night's Monday Night Raw before we dive into our topics tonight?
I think in general they got the job done. I think a lot of the matches were really good, and I've always said that Lucha has better wrestling entirely. So seeing 2.5 Lucha matches last night was really cool. But then also they're just kind of recycling week after week the storylines and all the stuff that's going on. So yeah, I think we need a little throw it in the washing machine, do a spin cycle, do something with some of these storylines.
Really, we will have to definitely um talk about which storylines you're referring to.
Mhm.
But those of you guys that are watching, please feel free to share this with your friends. Hit the subscribe button below if you're watching on Instagram. Hop onto our YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's where the majority of our content's going to be. We're live on Instagram, and for the first time, I'm waiting for somebody to confirm this. I hope I set it up all right. But for the first time, we are also live on Twitch. So we're excited. A lot of good things coming up. So here we go. We're gonna start off the show tonight. We're gonna come in hot. Let's do that. So last week we had the stipulation match, and maybe some people can say that this could have been a rush storyline or something. But last week we had a match between Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa. And the stipulation was if Solo wins, the Bloodline has to leave him alone for good. If Jey Uso were to win, Jey Uso delivers Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa becomes a part of the Bloodline. So that set up the stage for what we saw last night on Monday Night Raw. Um, I really liked um the aftermath, no pun intended. I really liked the aftermath of how everything had went down. Um it was a little bit unpredictable, and I'm kind of glad they didn't interweave the bloodline storyline all throughout the entire show. Um they waited for the last segment of the show to do this, and we had a pretty good full night of wrestling up to this point. But let's break it down. So first off, can we do a burial,
Ooh, it's
or
getting
should
a
we save the
little
burial for the end? Let's save the burial for the end. We're
okay.
gonna do that. We have a burial segment tonight, but for this part of the night, the crowd was hot for Roman Reigns coming out. And this was the basically the last segment of the night. Roman Reigns accompanied by Jacob Fatu, and we had Roman demanding the Usos to bring Solo Sikoa out, and then we get a long stare down with Solo and Roman in the ring. So that happens, and then Roman says the sight of him pisses him off, and then I liked how they did the whole vignette of kind of reminding us some of the history between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Um, and the crowd was really, really over for Solo, getting big cheers. Like he is literally coming into his own with his own personality week by week, and it's pretty fun to watch. He had a, I guess, it's pretty amusing promo last week with Jey Uso, but Roman, asks Solo, why do you think all this is funny? And asks, why are you even looking him eye to eye right now? And then it came to a point where Uso then super kicks Solo. Then Jacob attacks Solo. And Roman Reigns says he's not too funny now, is he? And then Roman acknowledges the Usos as his captains. And he goes on to say, if any one of you guys back there disrespect them, you disrespecting me. And then Roman gives them the black Ulufalas. Now, there's something I want to look up about the significance of the different colors of the Ulufalas at some point. But then we see LA Knight come out, and Jacob attacks LA Knight, but then Roman stops him. And then Roman Superman punches LA. We then go on to see that Roman is now demanding Solo to end LA Knight. And Roman says, well, you dragged him into this, now send him home. And then Solo Sikoa goes on to say, sorry to LA. And then he goes on to do the Samoan spike on Roman Reigns. So this is the moment right here. We see Solo Sikoa apologizing to him, in which we thought it was possible that maybe he was going to do it. But then we get the Samoan spike heard around the world. Knocks out Roman. And LA Knight and Solo take out the Bloodline while Jacob Fatu watches. So there are a couple things going on here, Brandon. So what did you notice about this segment most?
I muted, I'm sorry. I saw somebody posted before of kind of breaking down that last week after the match, everybody thought that this was going to be the death of Solo's character again. Like it was just going to be a falling off. And within 10 minutes, they elevated his character even more than thought imaginable. So I think they did an absolutely great job by just swerving everybody and, attacking Roman. And now you have LA Knight into the mix again. LA Knight and Solo together was comedy gold and will continue to carry us through Survivor Series, will continue to carry us through the War Games. It'll get us to Money in the Bank. That's the projected match of Roman and LA Knight. So I don't want to say very surprised, but to do it in literally 3 minutes where you bring back Solo and then he goes, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to freaking throat punch the tribal chief. So I think they did a great job with all that. And I just looked very quick while you were talking. It doesn't seem like there's much significance. The red Ulafalo is just the tribal chief, the head chief, usually with red. And then in general, I guess they're just kind of being acknowledged now with the black, Ulafalas that they got.
Interesting. Now, did you notice what Jacob Fatu was doing the whole entire time while Roman Reigns and the Usos were taking their beatdown?
Yeah, he was basically just Michael Myers in the corner watching everything go down. Like he just kind of stared there like a menace, which, I guess that kind of shows a little bit of like Roman is the one that calls the shots, obviously. And like, can Jacob not call his own shots? Is he not able to do his own thing? Did he not realize what was going on in the moment and should have stepped in? Did he choose not to step in? Like, there's going to be a lot of things going on with that storyline that you and I just created that everybody's going to create.
I am willing to bet that the Bloodline storyline is going to open up Raw on Monday. I'm willing to bet that that's going to probably happen. So here's the thing. A couple weeks ago, Roman Reigns told the Usos and Jacob Fatu that LA Knight was off limits. And even tonight, when last night when Jacob Fatu was about to go ham on LA, Roman Reigns backed up Jacob Fatu into the corner and told him to stand down. So Jacob Fatu, that's what he did the whole rest of the time was he stood down, taking his orders from Roman Reigns. So do you think that going into next Monday that Roman Reigns should be pissed off at Jacob Fatu? Or should Roman Reigns be like, you know what, you listened to every word I had to say, even though that this happened. You stood down, but I don't think that's gonna be the case. I think we're gonna see some dissension next week due to the fact that Jacob Fatu is watching Roman Reigns get beat down.
Yeah, I think I'm on that wave. I think that at least makes the most sense out of it.
And then Jacob Fatu is gonna be like, you know what, you told me to stand down. You told us to stand down.
Yeah, like you literally just gave me a Ula follow. Like I want to listen to you and do as I am told, wise man or not wise man, tribal chief. So
Am I mistaken that Roman gave Jacob Fatu an Ula follow at some point?
no, he did.
He did. Okay.
He actually gave it to him first.
Yeah, this is going back like 6 weeks ago at least, maybe 2 months now. Because it seemed like a little bit. It seemed like Jacob Fatu was a little bit pissed that Usos got their Ulufalas, their black Ulufalas, knighted as the captains of Bloodline.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Jacob Fatu just always looks upset, but that's what we call in the industry the RBF.
Do we think that Jacob Fatu is still going to be the Bloodline by the time War Games comes around?
I think so. I think like tonight, like you said, they're gonna spin it where it was like a showing of loyalty and listening to Roman, but then Roman or Jay or even Jimmy is gonna be like, look, like we understand, but like sometimes you gotta step up and help us. Like we can't look weak. And then like that's where he'll realize that he needs to be his own person, but also is like an enforcer, obviously, the way he was added to the group to be. So I think he'll kind of get his own brain after this one. So we'll see the slow burn that we like to use that word a lot. So we'll see the slow burn of Jacob actually being able to be his own person as the next couple of weeks, months go. But yeah, I think he stays around.
Yeah, because here's the thing. You have on one side you have LA Knight feuding with Bloodline. Now you have Solo and LA Knight are united. You're gonna have Royce Keys back, but who would be the fourth guy to come in and join to face the Bloodline? And I'm thinking possibly maybe I don't know. I want to say Oba, but it might be a little too early for that. Um, but I'm trying to think of who the fourth guy would be, and I'm kind of like drawing a blank a little bit because you got Cody and Punk. They're on SmackDown. Um, Randy, KO, they're all on SmackDown. Like, who on Raw would help to go against the Bloodline is my big question.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't know. I guess I really haven't thought that far because they end up just like somebody will end up getting intertwined into something.
I have a feeling
Or
it probably could be Seth Rollins.
I think I got it. It'll be Penta. He's going to have nothing to do. He's going to be the one to win this tournament, face Roman Reigns. It's going to be a great match. And then they're going to be like, well, there's somebody from your past that still holds a little bit of a grudge. And then we'll just hear Penta's music.
Yeah, I mean that's possible.
What else is he going to
I
do
can
after?
definitely.
What else is
I,
he going to do after that?
I can see Penta and Ray Phoenix finally becoming a tag team
That works
after
too.
this tournament because I have a feeling like we're gonna probably we'll talk more about it later, but I have a feeling we're gonna get Penta versus Ray Phoenix in the finals, and the winner gets Roman Reigns. Brother versus brother.
Brother.
Anyway, did you guys see this photo by the way? I don't know if you can see that well.
You got a little bit of a glare.
Do I?
Is it Ric Flair?
Yeah, the 77-year-old announced his desire to get married for a sixth time.
Did you see him answer that? You saw his tweet after that, right?
No, what was it?
Oh, it was poking so much fun at that. Like he was like, "Oh, I haven't met this woman yet, so if anybody has somebody who wants to start a family and set me up, please let me know." And he was like, "I have no intentions of having a family." And then Charlotte Flair did like the flat face emoji, like the just no emotion emoji. I was like, that's fantastic. Like,
Unbelievable.
yeah. So whatever this crazy nonsense that gets posted, again, basically got a reaction from you and from a lot of other people, but all this all this headline stuff is just like you said, headlines to get you to click on stuff.
So I'm definitely enjoying this Solo Sokoa storyline,
Mm-hmm.
his evolution of and he's becoming more over with the fans. You know what's really weird? It's a weird dynamic now that we're seeing with Roman Reigns because uh over 10 years ago they were shoving Roman Reigns down our throat because he was portrayed as the good guy and he was not over with the fans. He was getting booed. And now that like he finally cracked that glass ceiling in 2021 when he joined Paul Heyman and he became the most over superstar in WWE finally, but as a heel. And even now, like WWE is trying to push him as a heel instead of pushing him as a face, and the fans want to cheer him. The fans still want to cheer him. It's crazy. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, it's these freaking bikes that come around every 10 minutes and just tear up the whole highway. I can't remember what I was saying now. What were you saying?
So yeah, so because Roman's been heavily pushed as was 10 years
Yes.
ago, heavily pushed as a face, and the fans are booing him. But now that he's heavily pushed as a heel, the fans are cheering him, and the other thing too is like, you know, they're trying to push the Usos as heels. Why are we still yeeting with the crowd? Change your music. No yeeting. No yeet.
Yeah, I think they're just trying. Well, then you're pushing merch, and you know. Well, honestly,
There's enough wrestlers that have merch.
I think that there's enough. Like that is true,
They
but
have enough merch.
um, well, I'm trying to think. Like, I think Kurt Angle is a great example. Like, he was a heel face, depending on who he faced off against, and like, but then you started doing the "you suck" chants, and like, you know, he's reacting to it, but people don't actually think he sucks. Like, it's just funny. When you're up against Edge, you're going to be a heel because he's a face, you know? Like, it's just funny things. But people liked rooting for Kurt Angle most of the time. You know, same with John Cena. You get everybody, you know, let's go Cena. Cena sucks. It's back and forth. It's good. So I think the yeet is that, like, get the crowd going. And then when they start talking, you could just start booing them.
Yeah, it's a very very polarizing dynamic right now because like there's been times where like I don't even know if these guys are faces anymore, if they're full blown heels. I think after like especially last night they were portrayed more as heels. So it felt a little more clearer to me that they were definitely in heel mode for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
And I think
but
that's
what
where a lot
stood
of
out to
people are.
me was LA Knight and Solo. Like I feel like they leveled up right in front of us.
Yeah, yeah. I'd already said it was Solo,
100%.
but LA Knight too.
Yeah, like he didn't really have as strong as a week this week like he did last week in a mic, but LA Knight's definitely picking up momentum that he certainly did not have during the time of the first quarter of this year.
Hmm.
So let me ask you this: does LA Knight win the world title for a couple months and then drop it back to Roman going into WrestleMania season?
I was thinking that that could be a possibility, um, but I think that they just let Roman hold on to it until probably losing it at Mania.
Yeah, to the Royal Rumble winner, which we believe to be Oba.
Yeah,
So
I don't know when LA Knight will get a belt, and AJ Styles actually came out and said like I don't understand why LA Knight hasn't gotten one and doesn't have one. Like dude is leveling up every single month, and like you said, he leveled up again yesterday. So personally, I think the writers just like Roman too much and will continue to put him in the spotlight. But yeah, LA Knight definitely deserves a belt.
I mean, I would say after this, I would probably have for the men, LA Knight win the men's Money in the Bank briefcase and have him cash it in on a champion of his choice um on the WWE title. Not the World Heavyweight title, on the WWE title. And this way you have Roman Reigns have and Obafemi have a little bit more of a clear path to WrestleMania. Yeah, I think now is a good time to have because the story between with Roman right now is very convoluted. The Bloodline, this version of the Bloodline, like the things that they're doing, kind of has legs under it right now, and you're gonna have Roman face Oba at WrestleMania, so you're gonna have LA fall short. They get to War Games, Bloodline loses, yada yada yada. Everybody celebrates, hugs it out, and at some point, LA Knight will cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, but I think he does it out of nowhere on a WWE Championship. I think it makes sense to do it there, and this way you have a little bit of a clearer path for Obafemi and Roman, so you don't kind of get in the way of that. So
Yeah, I see
yeah,
that.
I think that's what you do. But anyway, moving on. Stephanie Vaquer, she calls out Liv Morgan on Raw. That kicked off the show, and pretty hot segment. We see Raw start off with Stephanie Vaquer calling out Liv, and then Judgment Day comes out and then surrounds Stephanie. So she's all surrounded. They get into a brawl. Then Becky Lynch comes out for the save, but she too gets laid out. And in the midst of all this, we also see dissension between Becky Lynch and Stephanie. So I'm led to believe we're probably headed towards a triple threat because they both want to go after Liv Morgan, yet Becky and Stephanie are getting in each other's way. Maybe this leads to a number one contender match between Becky and Stephanie, and then the winner faces Liv Morgan, but Liv has not defended that title enough. I think we got to go for it with the triple threat. So, what did you think of this segment, and where we go from here?
I think you're spot on. Like you said, normally your reads are great, but I think you're spot on. Stephanie and Becky will face, and I guess well, there you go. Boom, right on your radar. Yeah, no, I love that. That's fantastic. Who can we thank for making that? No, you said a friend of yours.
We got to thank our friend Chris Terrell. Chris Terrell for making this photo. Like my muscles are almost about the same. You know, I got the cross there, and the face looks exactly the same. Everything looks just about the same. My arms are slightly smaller, not by much, but it's slightly smaller
Right.
than what you see there. But otherwise, yeah, we got to thank Chris for that.
Very well. Yeah, no, I think we get a Saturday night's main event. We get that number one contender match.
Sunday.
Sunday night's main event. Sorry.
I don't know why they're doing that, but
Yeah, I thought that maybe there was something going on that Saturday. I don't know if it's like a
yeah, you
Jewish
know what
holiday. I
happened? They
can't remember.
probably double booked themselves by accident and asked WWE to move it to Sunday. I wouldn't doubt for a second if that happened. I'd have to see what the schedule is for events for that arena that weekend. But I wouldn't doubt that something like that happened.
Hmm.
Sunday night's main event, yeah.
Oh, no, I know why.
What's
Labor
up?
Day is the next day, so they don't care about like working or anything. That's the only reason to do it that day.
But they still have Raw the next night,
Mm,
unless they're doing Sunday night's main event and Raw back to back in the same arena. Which I haven't heard anything of that, but it is Labor Day weekend.
that's what
So
I'm saying. That's like the only reason that they did it on Sunday.
that's weird because there is Raw the next night. So
Right.
speaking of which, Raw is on 6 p.m. next Monday night.
Okay.
And then
Where
I
are they
think
doing it?
where's it at? It's in Ottawa.
I think
Yeah.
they are an hour ahead. No,
They might be in the same time zone as us, maybe Central. I'm not 100% sure on that though.
but even then,
But
if that's a special start time, then
well, you know what it is? They're filming. They're taping SmackDown right after Raw, just to give their talent off
yeah,
on Friday. I guess that Friday.
makes sense.
So, we are closing in on the end of August. I can't believe we're halfway through August already. It's just absolutely nuts to me. So
It is
yeah,
the same time as well.
I think we're getting close to a triple threat here. Sunday night's main event is the next biggest show, which is still just a couple weeks away. The next PLE is going to be um, not till October, so that's a while off. That's still another 7 weeks until the next PLE. So the Sunday night's main events kind of be like the appetizer in between. Um, and Sunday night's main event's kind of looking like it's being booked like a big show, but we'll talk more about that later.
Hmm.
Um, oops, didn't want to do that. Here we go. We had Big Cass shows up, and Javon Evans just had his match. He attacks um, Javon Evans once again. So Javon Evans wins his match against JD McDonough with the OG cutter. Following a missed moonsault by JD, Javon wins, but then quickly gets ambushed by Big Cass. And then there we go. And then we see Evans call out Big Cass once again. He's like, "Is that enough? That's all you got?" And Evans took it to him. Looked pretty strong here, but then Dominic Mysterio decides to get in the way because he's watching all this on the side. And Dominic Mysterio takes out Javon Evans by putting him into the ring post. And then Big Cass attacks him some more, leaving him laying. But Javon Evans looks really strong here. This kind of reminded me of something. This kind of reminded me of Jeff Hardy asking for more of a beatdown from The Undertaker. back in 2001.
I was not watching wrestling.
So back in 2001, Undertaker and Jeff Hardy were feuding, and Jeff Hardy had a championship match, ladder match on Raw against Undertaker. But leading up to that, Undertaker was kind of acting like the bully, and Jeff Hardy was kind of like basically the Javon Evans to Big Cass, especially from what we saw last night. And Jeff Hardy to the Undertaker was like, "Oh, is that all you got?
I remember this clip. Yes.
Yeah, is that all you got, Undertaker?" And, so this is exactly what I'm like. I was thinking to myself today. I'm like, why does this seem so familiar? And then I had to go through my Rolodex of timeline of events that I've seen in WWE, and this is dating back to 25 years ago now
Mm-hmm.
when Jeff Hardy did this to the Undertaker, and then eventually Jeff Hardy got the show of respect from the Undertaker, but I don't think that's where we're headed with Big Cass, where Big Cass is going to show a respect, sign of respect to Javon, because it seems like to me they're building Big Cass as like a monster heel here. But before we move on, how do you like the presentation of Big Cass so far?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
Is this what you were alluding to at the beginning of the show, that you don't like the storyline?
Yeah. One of them, one of the few, because why? Now, I missed much of Raw last week. I missed the show and everything.
You didn't miss a
Was
whole
it-
lot.
Was
You didn't
there an
miss a whole
attack
lot.
last week?
Yeah, there was an attack.
Of course. So now we're 3 weeks in a row, and when you first brought in Big Cass and he had the statement with Kathy in the back, he said, "Javon, it's nothing personal. You were just in my way." Now, if you're going to attack somebody 3 weeks in a row, is it not personal? So now I'm more confused on why they brought him back for that in the first place. And then the dude was doing halfway decent in AEW, and now you bring him for a 2-minute attack 3 weeks in a row with no building of a storyline. And you bring him without the main reason why anybody even liked him in the WWE, which is Enzo Amore anyways. Nobody gave a flying fadoodle about Big Cass without Enzo. So why bring him back without Enzo just to have him attack a fan favorite? Like, I don't understand this.
As of now, there's no word on what Enzo Amore is doing. It's very, very quiet right now. Haven't heard anything. Fightful's never reported anything on it. Maybe more news is going to come out on this week to see what the status of Enzo Amore is. But for the time being, yeah, I mean, I guess I can agree with you to an extent. But they are trying to build him like a monster. But at the same time, he's been attacking the same person like 3 weeks in a row now. So at some point, we gotta get to a match here or move on. I don't really know where they're gonna go with this for now, but I could tell you that I would expect eventually to see Big Cass versus Obafemi for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be one of those things where, Big Cass is gonna be told to pick on somebody his own size, and then I think this is where we're headed over the course of the next few months as a little sidebar feud for Obafemi before Obafemi gets his championship match at WrestleMania. I think that's very possible.
Yeah, I can see that. That's
So,
probably the move.
speaking of Oba, we see Bron Breakerr calling out Obafemi last night. Let me see, as Wade Barrett would say, are your loins tingling when you see Braun and Oba in the same ring looking at each other, or what?
Jesus.
Braun Breaker versus Obafemi, if the trajectory is going to go like we think it's going to go, like this is like a WrestleMania 45 main event or a WrestleMania 50 main event. This is going to be a future, in my opinion. Oh, not only Oba, but Bron Breakker is the future of WWE. Just like when you had Austin Rock in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then you had John Cena and Randy Orton. You could throw Batista in there. In the 80s, you had Hogan and Savage. So you always had like a a one a 1A and a close 1B superstar. You always had two, three top superstars to always go to, right? Right now it's kind of like leaning towards like Roman and Cody, or like Cody and Punk on one show, Roman, on the other. Um, but the future is right in front of us. Whether Oba beats Braun or whether Braun beats Oba, which I don't think is going to happen. But basically, he says, "Say what you can say what you want to be if you're the future of this place. Come take it from me right now." And then Paul Heyman comes out and says, "I was an advocate, I was an oracle, and I was a wise man." And Braun wants Paul Heyman to tell him, like, who do you think is the future of the WWE? Like, Bron Breakker's like I guess kind of like insecure about this answer. And then Oba Femi's music hits. And then Oba comes in. He says everyone knows who the future is, and even Brock Lesnar does too. And if you have a problem with that, you can take it up with me at any time. And then we see the tempers flare. And then Paul Heyman says, we don't just answer to the fans, we answer to the shareholders. And then Paul Heyman goes on to say he's already set up the match as Sunday night's main event, and then we'll find out who the future is. And because he says that's good business. Uh, Paul then shakes Oba Femi's hand on the way out of the ring and as he leaves, passing Bron Breaker, he says to Braun, "Now that is good business." What did you think of this segment?
You know, I was starting to think back to what you said a few weeks ago. You said if there was a chance that Oba becomes a Paul Heyman guy, I could really see it now. Like, I honestly think that the way that they're writing this, and I'm also thinking back, since Braun has come back from being hurt, what has he done? Because he got gifted the tag belt because Logan got hurt.
Yep.
They had one match against Otis and Akira for the belt, and that's it. He really has done nothing since he's come back from injury, and he obviously lost to CM Punk before being injured. So, like, for the last 7 months, Braun's stock really isn't that high, at least in my opinion. People just know what he can do. So it's like you said, we're gonna do future versus future. Braun has a very bright future. Oba is one of those like now future guys. Like everybody likes him and everybody wants to see him win. Now also you know, his one loss was to Brock, and that was scary. Nobody expected that one either. So yeah, I think the fact that they're doing this, I do believe Oba is going to win. I think that that's just the move right now. And I think they're going to have to really reevaluate the vision and what's going on in that group, where Paul Heyman stands, where Braun stands. But yeah, for all that, I could easily see Oba becoming Paul's next guy.
Okay, so my question here to you is, if that's the case, what is the dynamic of Oba Femi's character moving forward?
Um, I think what he needs to
Because
do.
I can't see a face Oba and a face Paul Heyman, and then paired with the possibility that Oba could win the Royal Rumble and then he'd have to go into WrestleMania as a face if he's going in at WrestleMania against Roman.
Well, like you said, he can take down. He's gonna take down Braun. Then after he can take down Big Cass. Then after he can take on. There really is nobody in Raw right now. Unfortunately, he can take on Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed should be coming back soon. You take down those three big guys of Braun, a 7-footer in big casts, and then Bronson. That gets you all the way to Royal Rumble. He wins the Royal Rumble, takes on Roman, and beats Roman. So I think he only needs 3 solid feuds over the next 5 months until we get the Royal Rumble, which is crazy to say Royal Rumble's only 5 months away, but it is.
Yeah, it is 5 months away actually. And you think they do this while keeping Paul Heyman face and and Oba face too as well?
I think so because the guys that I just named, I mean,
Or do
Braun
you
versus
just
Oba.
not have Paul join Oba, but you kind of see, Paul Heyman and Oba constantly passing each other like they did last night, and just have that show of mutual respect and kind of just move on? Or do you think that um, Paul Heyman is going to maybe screw over Oba and help Bron Breaker win?
Well, I think he's going to show up, and no, like that's where I think that the dynamic can flip, where they can either go, "Hey, Braun, we're going to put you over because you're getting the crowd appeal, and you're going to keep Paul on your side for a little bit," or we've already seen the dissension between Paul and the Vision, anyways. So just have that breakup and then have Oba come on in. And I think both guys as a face would be comedy.
Yeah, it would be pretty interesting. I mean, it's been kind of sort of done in a way. Um, we've seen this with Brock Lesnar in 2002. Paul Heyman behind Brock Lesnar's side, and the fans kind of sort of turned Brock Lesnar face to an extent. And going into Survivor Series 2002, um, Brock was taking on the Big Show with Brock Lesnar kind of billed as the face and the Big Show billed as the heel, and then Paul Heyman screwed over Brock Lesnar, and Big Show beat Brock Lesnar and lost the championship that night in Madison Square Garden. So I don't think all that's going to happen with Oba here, but it's something to keep in the back of our heads there with Paul. If Paul does align with Oba and then maybe eventually turns, but we'll have to see. But yeah, Oba Femi versus Bron Breaker at Sunday night's main event. I think that's gonna be a very good, very good. It's gonna be one of the first times we're seeing this. This is the first time we're seeing this on the main roster, and to get a little bit of a preview, you can always go back and watch on NXT where they did tear it up. But but yeah, Bron Breaker. To your point, he had lost a lot of momentum this year, and for one reason or another, the injury certainly didn't help. I mean, he did a phenomenal job in Brooklyn against CM Punk. In my opinion, Bron Breakker should have won that night because he had the momentum behind me. They should have pulled the trigger. But hindsight's always 2020. Good thing they didn't because Bron Breakker ends up getting hurt in a freak accident.
Yeah, fair. That's the main thing, like you said, of you really can't determine when people aren't going to be able to go. So, yeah, all he did was throw a table, and he lost 4 months and a whole heck of a big push.
Yeah, he
And
did. And while this was happening, basically Oba was rising really quick on the main roster.
yep,
So, and
they
and now
call
we
it.
can see how this storyline is kind of making a little bit of a sense here.
Mm-hmm, they call it in football next man up, and I've always been a big, I don't want to say proponent of that because obviously it sucks that people get injured, but you're in this job where they have plans for you, and if you can't go, unfortunately, you're going to get pushed to the side. And I think that that's kind of what's happening to Dominic Mysterio a little bit. Not that he's hurt, but like he's a champion in his dad's business, and then in WWE, he has minimal talking lines now. He's been losing to Danhausen. Like, they made him a loser, but he's a champion in another division, technically. So, yeah, it's definitely strange to see a lot of these guys lose their momentum. But I hope Braun can get it back. But unfortunately, it seems like they're putting him into another loss as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I don't think it's gonna hurt him to take a loss to Oba, but I really want to see a good match here, and I want to see it kind of believable, where Oba's kind of threatened, kind of like Lesnar, but where Oba's back's kind of against the wall, kind of like I want to see. I just want to see a good. I definitely don't want to see a squash by any means, but yeah, Bron Breakerr needs to be built up, but a little bit more importance going into this match. But we'll have to see what the story is between Oba and Braun, and what Paul does here, because I have a feeling he might be a factor. Um, in the match. But we had a really good Intercontinental Championship title match. Unbelievable. The things with Rey Mysterio doing at 51 years old, challenging Chad Gable. Let me tell you, the crowd was hot for this. What a good match that
Yep.
we saw here. Arguably the top one of the greatest intercontinental title matches we've seen on national TV. We've seen some good ones over the years. But what did you think here? I mean, Ray looked really good. Um, we he nearly wins with multiple 619s. Chad Gable still doesn't go down. Michael Cole was also into this match. He called this match so well. And Gable wins with a pin reversal. But what did you think of this match?
Like I was saying before, where there were 2.5 uh, lucha matches, this was my half, but even then it was closer. I mean, Chad, he has his springboard backflip. He does that. Obviously, Ray isn't the high flyer that he used to be, but still, like you said, the match that they're able to still put on at Ray's age, as well as you know Gable being a more Greco-Roman style wrestler, like a United States wrestler. Um, they put on some show. I was locked in the whole time. I thought they were going to be able to give Ray the belt back for a little bit and have Chad's run end early, but I think Chad is going to hold on to this belt for a while. Like it definitely seems like WWE, the crowd and every fan is really high on this Chad Gable return.
Yeah, I think you gotta have Chad Gable hold on to the title until maybe like somebody like Logan Paul or Austin Theory is ready to challenge him. And while all this is happening, Gable's going to continue to get hot, and then maybe thrust Chad Gable to the main event scene, because like whatever is happening right now, this story just works very well, and the crowd was getting into it and stuff. But yeah, so can I do my burial now?
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
Oh, we have a burial. We are gonna bury something right now. Let me just find it here. Where are we? All right, here we go. The burial is, for more than half the night last night, this Buffalo crowd sucked.
Really,
If
like I
you
said, I wasn't
are
able to
from
hear it.
Buffalo and watching this, and you went to the WWE show last night, and if you were sitting on the floor, how dare you? How dare you sit on the hands and be motionless? We had some really good matches last night, and we have if you go back and watch Ray Phoenix when he defeats El Fiscal to advance in the tournament, of course the tournament to face Roman Reigns, and then you look at the other match with Dragon Lee versus Dr. Wagner Jr. And Dragon Lee getting the win there. The crowd was motionless during this whole match, and we were seeing bangers. Like these two matches were like kind of like AEW style matches. You want to know what the AEW fans would be doing this if this was in front of their face right now? They would all be standing up the whole entire match, cheering on this match. But no, everybody had to sit on their hands and like little snobs and just be motionless during two really good matches. This Buffalo crowd, except for when Gable, Mysterio, and the Roman Reigns segment, this Buffalo crowd sucked. Absolutely sucked.
I mean, like I
It was
said, I
not
was
good.
only able to watch without listening. So, but yeah, if they're like you said, if they're not cheering, if they're not putting into the matches, like I understand, like
It's
you
a
know,
yeah, it's a geographic issue. Like
yeah,
if this match was in Philly, or if this was like overseas, if this was like in Brooklyn, Madison Square Garden, like the fans would have been loud. They would have been into it.
and I think it's very tough to like buy all those big 20,000 people crowds and everything. Like
But this is
it's
a big
obvious.
arena, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like Buffalo, it's a big arena. They like their hockey there. They love their football, but
They're laid back
I mean, again,
people.
I don't know how many people are watching wrestling up there, but like you said, every every week should be a big town by now. You shouldn't be going to Albany. You shouldn't be going to Buffalo. You shouldn't be going to Chattanooga. Shouldn't be going to Oklahoma. It's not. It,
If
you
you
got to
want to
go
go
to these
near Buffalo,
crowds.
then go to Toronto. Go to
Correct.
Montreal.
Correct.
Go to New York City. Get to Barclays. Get to Philly. Pittsburgh is a pretty good city. Texas is good. Houston, Texas is good. Los Angeles. Like at this point, I mean, you gotta stay. You gotta try to stay in the big markets because Buffalo had the way the crowd was like acting last night. They had no business getting this Raw. And
Mm.
even a couple weeks ago, the one in Iowa, like that Raw was really good. I'm like, how do they have that kind of business getting that Raw? Like I don't know, man. It's just yeah, that Buffalo crowd that was not good last night. You know, and I get like not many people are gonna know who, maybe Dr. Wagner Jr. is, and who was the other guy? El Fiscal is, and I get it because half the WWE crowd don't even bother watching AAA or NXT, you know. But
Right.
at the same time, like we witnessed really good matches in front of our faces, and everybody's just kind of sitting still. So that is my burial of the week. And by the way, Sol Ruka looked very good against Lyra last night. I think this was Sol Ruka's best outing, and she even had a good outing like a week or two before. But Sol Ruka had an even better outing this weekend against Lyra.
I'd agree. She's starting to figure it out, and I feel like they're doing this like deranged, upset woman role way too much. They do it with the men as well, where it's like, I lost my belt and I'm upset. So I want a chance for the belt again. Meh, meh, meh. And then Lyra lost, and now it's like, all right, what do you do? Now that you just lost, what are you going to do with her? Like, it's just, that's the WWE version of burial. Is like, I understand you beat Bailey, you did what you had to do. Now you come back and lose the soul. What are you going to do with her now? So
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
upset with
absolutely.
that.
There's got to be there's gonna have to be like a I don't know what they're gonna do there. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. But um, we are on the road to Sunday night's main event now, and the match is listed. We have Femi versus Bron Breaker, which is going to be very interesting, as we talked about a little earlier. The Paul Heyman factor to see what he does there. Does he like turn on Bron Breaker and join Oba? Um, to see what happens there. It's gonna be pretty interesting. And we also have I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I think CM Punk versus Kevin Owens is happening there, right?
No, I think that's this Friday.
That's this Friday for the title.
Mm-hmm. And then I feel like
Yeah,
there
I
might
would
be.
love a title change there.
I feel like something might happen in that match where they're gonna redo it at main event so that they can get like big names on that card. So yeah, I don't know
That's
what could possibly happen, but we'll see.
yeah, and then we're getting Cody. Cody's been calling out Randy Orton for weeks, and Cody finally gets Randy. Um, so Cody will be taking on Randy Orton Sunday night's main event. So this card is looking stacked. Not to mention, we had a title change on SmackDown last week. JC Jane winning the United States Championship by defeating Tiffany Stratton, of course, outside interference. Um, and Chelsea Green's gonna keep her title. She has to defend it within 30 days, or she loses it. So I'm glad they made a little bit of a storyline out of it, and then gave some importance to Matt Cardona, and Gunther too, with Matt Cardona saying he's gonna, one day go after the WWE Championship. So, um, good for Matt. I don't see him becoming a champion, but it gives him something to do, and it gives the fans something to be a reason why they should be invested. Um, so that's happening. So Sunday night's main event is coming up in just a couple weeks, really. But off the top of my head, that's really all I got for now. Brandon, you have anything to add before we go off the air momentarily?
Um, I think you covered everything that I would have had. Oh, no. Why does Chelsea have that stipulation, but there was absolutely no stipulation for Liv, who like literally didn't have a match for almost 3 months with her belt?
It makes zero sense. That's
Okay,
a
cool.
very, very valid question. They botched the booking of Liv Morgan. Like how they have. I mean, you could have had Chelsea Green throw it back in Nick Aldis' face while Liv Morgan defended her title. Only defended her title once in 3 months.
Right, but
It would have made a
no.
little bit more sense. Like, why would you want me to get stripped of my title when you have the champion on the other show that has not defended it once up until SummerSlam?
Yeah, I wish that they would have
So,
broke that down.
honestly, the best answer I can give you on that is just inconsistent booking.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
inconsistent booking. So that's always kind of been like a problem in the past. So there should always be that 30-day stipulation rule. So, but anyways, for those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much for hopping on. Please be sure to like our video, comment your thoughts on anything that took place about Raw last night. We'd like to hear what you had to say. And for those of you guys that are watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. And we are getting into AEW. Well, we're basically an AEW All In season, so we will be more than likely doing an AEW show next week and or the week after to cover AEW All In as they are heating up as we speak. So can't wait to talk about that. And we got Raw next week to see what the reaction of Roman Reigns versus um, LA Knight feud and what the fallout's going to be with Jacob Fatu. to see if there's going to be further dissension. And I would expect that to open up Raw with the Bloodline and Jacob Fatu, everybody kind of standing in line and kind of like the good old days. Roman Reigns addressing each Bloodline member in the ring in front of everybody. So I would expect that to happen on Monday Night Raw for sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Those of you guys that are watching, that wraps up episode 168. Thank you guys so much. And Brandon, thank you for hopping on. We will see you guys all next week.
Agility from the champion. Uh-oh!